Hey, how's it going? So, what is this project and why the hell do I want to do it? Well, a couple days back, I was doing some guitar playing and making a cover video and all that fun stuff. And I thought, man, it would be really, really fun to go ahead and just perform like a whole set. And while I'm at it, why don't I just live stream it and try to perform it like it's a full production? So I thought, okay, with a full production, what would that exactly entail? And basically, I thought, well, I want it to be kind of like a TV broadcast where you'd have all the trimmings like banners that fade in and out when you change tracks, changing back and forth between different cameras. In my case, since I'm doing all of this from home, it would also be cool to go ahead and change which monitors are visible to the viewers. Some of that would be showing like Studio One, the mixing board, or some of the backing tracks that are being played, maybe possibly even pre recorded aspects. To make it a full production, I'd also want to go ahead and have all of backing tracks and other instruments that I can't play all at the same time live. So I would be then also having the detail on the stream what stuff is live and what stuff is actually pre recorded. And so I thought, well, this will be a whole lot of fun. Why would I do this? Well, it just seems like a fairly big challenge. And a lot of these different technologies I'm not really 100% in the know about. I'm vaguely aware that they exist. And so this requires me to go through quite a bit of learning. So that's kind of the plan. So in order to do this, what kinds of stuff am I going to need? Well, we've got overlays for OBS, so that's like the little banner things that pop up in and out and all of that. Then there's going to be scenes for OBS. So that's like what just happened right now. We went from my quote unquote monologue screen into my lower center monitor, which happens to have this little presentation thing up with some bullet lists. The scene change could also be changing a collection of cameras, etc. Now, of course, since this is all going to be about I want to perform a live one-person concert, I'm going to need a set list. So part of that set list, we're going to have to determine what's going to be performed live, what the backing track arrangements are going to be. We're going to have to learn the songs. Apparently, I can't type. Oh, sorry, wrong way. Getting used to the green screen and things being flipped. Then, of course, I'm going to have to record all the backing tracks. So part of the recording and performing and all of that, I'm going to be utilizing Studio One as kind of like a live console. So I'm going to need to set that up to stream, which is what I'm currently doing. And then I'm going to also need to set up some of the automation and MIDI control for that. And then in addition to that, there's just general automation that I may want to do as far as sometimes I'll be performing and maybe I'm doing stuff on the guitar or the pedal board or something, and I don't necessarily have an extra foot or hand or anything to trigger something else. So I could do a time trigger or piggyback triggers on something else I'm doing as part of an automation, doing changes with scenes or effects. And then I'm sure there'll be a whole bunch of other ideas I come up with as I'm putting everything together. So this kind of implies that there's a lot of tools that we're going to need, and there's a decent number of tools that are going to be needed. So there's two main categories of tools that I'm thinking of: software and hardware. So when we look at software, we've got this list right here. So we've got OBS, which is the broadcast system. It's what I'm using to record this video. And that will allow me to set up scenes. It'll allow me to stream to Twitch, YouTube, wherever. Studio One is a digital audio workstation, or a DAW. You can call it whatever you want, DAW. And so that's where all my audio processing is going to go through. Playing the backing tracks, if I'm playing sounds from the computer, if I'm playing keyboard, guitar, all of that, vocals. My voice right now is going through Studio One. Studio One's going to be controlling all the sound, mixing it all, and then it's going to also send it over to OBS. So an example of Studio One would be this monitor here, which is right now showing my vocal and everything. It's really fun. There's some faders. This is what I've been tampering with to get ready to do this video. So there's been all kinds of fun things I've been trying to figure out and learn, and yeah, it's quite interesting. So going back to our list of tools here, we've got Inkscape, which is a 2D vector graphics program. Vector graphics are awesome because rather than being pixel based, which doesn't scale up very well, there's a couple of things that are good at doing that, like Liquid Rescale, which has a really badass algorithm for determining least and most important pixels in a nonlinear seam through an image, both horizontally and vertically. And then it adds and removes stuff as is deemed appropriate based on a weighted mapping of the image. Really badass stuff. But aside from that, typically pixel-based images don't scale up very well, whereas vector graphics are all mathematically calculated, so it really just stores the geometry, and then it generates the pixels on the fly as necessary based on the geometry. So there you can make a graphic and scale it down to like a business card, or you can scale it up to a billboard for like on the side of a highway or something. So Inkscape's what we're going to use to do all of our non-animated 2D graphics. And then we've got Blender. Blender is a 3D rendering, modeling, animation type of thing. What we're going to use it for is video editing and to do some basic 2D animated stuff. The little banner that's right down here that has G-Schnur and it has this like little flaring green highlight that scrolls across it, that was done in Blender. So that's one of these kind of overlays that I've come up with. And then of course we've got MIDI control and VST host. MIDI control allows me to create programmed responses to MIDI inputs, and basically assigned if it receives a certain MIDI signal, it's going to do something in OBS. So MIDI control is the main way I'm going to automate doing scene changes. And that's what I've been doing so far, is using MIDI control with my pedal board to change which monitor and scene that you're seeing. VST host, which I'll show later, is what we're going to use to get audio back and forth from the system into Studio One and from Studio One into OBS using a Restream VST plugin. So that's really fun stuff. Hardware, basic stuff, cameras, microphone, some stands, a boom stand that's for the GoPro. Need a capture card because otherwise the GoPro as a webcam has latency, and a green screen, which I have one behind me, which you can't see, which means it's working. So that's kind of fun. So that's it for tools in a nutshell. I'm sure there'll be some more that'll be talked about throughout the series. So now I'm going to go ahead and go over what's our set list. Well, this is a kind of temporary set list I've come up with because I don't know how to play any of these songs, and I think it'll be a whole lot of fun to learn them and try to do something like this with them. So, what's next? Well, I guess I'm going to have to come up with some content to go ahead and continue with some of these videos, and maybe we'll talk about the overlays and so on, and go from there. In any case, have fun.